What if I told you that the car you're driving right now owes everything to 10 machines from the 1950s? These weren't just cars. They were revolution on wheels, dreams made of steel and gasoline. They changed the game forever. From a car that looked like it came from outer space to one that screamed America louder than apple pie, these 10 supercars didn't just push the limits. They shattered them. And guess what? You're about to see how they did it. Get ready to witness the birth of speed as we know it. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Number 1 Alfa Romeo Disco Volante. Picture this, it's 1952, and a car that looks like it's straight out of a sci-fi flick zooms past you. Your heart races. Is it a flying saucer? An alien invasion? Nope, it's the Alfa Romeo Disco Volante, Italian for flying saucer. This wasn't just a car, it was a glimpse into the future. The Disco Volante was so advanced, it actually scared people. Its design mirrored the UFOs in movies like The Day the Earth Stood Still, but fear quickly turned to excitement when folks saw what this beast could do. Weighing less than a ton and packing up to 156 horsepower, it could hit speeds near 150 miles per hour. That's like strapping a jet engine to a feather. This space-age wonder didn't just turn heads, it rewrote the rules of car design. Its unique aerodynamics and lightweight build set the stage for generations of supercars to come. Today, the Disco Volante is a rare treasure. Seeing one is like spotting a unicorn, but with a much cooler exhaust note. Number 2, Porsche 356A. Imagine a small, struggling German company taking a massive gamble in post-war Europe. Their bet? A flashy sports car when most people could barely afford basic transportation. It was either genius or madness. But this risk didn't just pay off. It birthed an automotive legend that's still revered today. In 1948, Porsche was just a tiny engineering firm, not the powerhouse we know now. Europe was still rebuilding, and practical, affordable cars were the norm. But Ferdinand Porsche had a wild idea: create a sports car using mostly Volkswagen parts. It was a huge risk, but one that would change everything. The result was the Porsche 356. It wasn't the fastest or the most powerful, but it was light, nimble, and handled like a dream. With its rear-engine layout and streamlined body, it was unlike anything else on the road. People fell in love with its unique sound and the way it hugged the curves. Number 3, Chevrolet Corvette C1. In the 1950s, America faced a crisis on wheels. European sports cars were stealing the show, and Detroit was scrambling for an answer. Their solution? A car that initially sold just 300 units in its first year, but here's the kicker. That same failure would go on to become one of the most recognizable vehicles in automotive history. The pressure was on for American automakers to create something uniquely their own. GM took up the challenge, rushing a new model into production in just 6 months after its debut at the 1953 Motorama Expo. But their haste came at a cost. The first Corvettes hit the streets with a whimper, not a roar. Packing a measly 150 horsepower, these early models took a yawn-inducing 11.7 seconds to reach 60 miles per hour. It was hardly the European beating performance they'd hoped for. But GM wasn't about to throw in the towel. In 1955, they dropped a V8 engine into the Corvette, cranking up the power to 195 horses. Suddenly, this American underdog was ready to run with the big dogs from across the pond. As Harley Earl, GM's chief designer, put it, the Corvette was a dream car that became a reality, capturing the spirit of America's post-war optimism and desire for speed. Number 4, Ford Thunderbird. In the mid-1950s, European sports cars were stealing the show, but Ford had an ace up its sleeve, a vehicle so unique it created its own category. How did this American automaker manage to capture 16,000 hearts in just 1 year with a car that broke all the rules? Enter the Ford Thunderbird, a bold response to the growing sports car craze. But Ford wasn't interested in just copying the competition. They had a different vision, a car that married luxury with performance, comfort with speed. It was a gamble that paid off spectacularly. The The Thunderbird roared onto the scene with a 4.8-liter V8 engine, pushing it past 110 miles per hour. But speed wasn't its only trick. Ford marketed it as a personal luxury car, a term that would reshape the industry. This wasn't just a car, it was a statement of style and sophistication. The public's reaction, nothing short of electric. Within 10 days of its reveal at the Detroit Auto Show, Ford had 3,500 orders in hand. By the end of its first year, over 16,000 Thunderbirds were cruising American roads, proving that Ford had tapped into something special. Number 5. Mercedes-Benz 300SL Gullwing. What happens when you try to squeeze a champion racehorse into a fancy suit? Mercedes-Benz was about to find out. They had a crazy idea to take their dominating Le Mans winner and make it street legal. But here's the thing. They didn't just want it to be fast. They wanted it to be the ultimate status symbol. Mercedes-Benz faced a wild challenge. How do you turn a race car that's crushing it on the track into something you can drive to the grocery store? The answer involves some seriously out-of-the-box thinking and a touch of automotive magic. The result? The Mercedes-Benz 300SL Gullwing. This wasn't just a car, it was a spaceship on wheels. Its gullwing doors weren't just for show. They were a clever solution to the car's super strong but tricky space frame. And under the hood, a beefed up 3-liter straight-six engine pumping out 212 horses. That's 42 more than its racing cousin. This beauty could hit 150 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest cars you could buy. No wonder it became the darling of the rich and famous. Mercedes-Benz didn't just build a car, they created a legend that would influence sports cars for decades to come. Number 6. Jaguar D-Type. Racing success is one thing, but bringing that same level of performance to the average driver, that's a whole different ball game. Jaguar was about to attempt the impossible, transforming their dominating race car into something you could drive to the grocery store. The result? A game changer that would shape the future of sports cars for decades to come. Jaguar was on top of the world in the 1950s, dominating the racing scene with their D-Type. But they had a wild idea. What if they could take this beast of a race car and make it street legal? The challenge was enormous. How do you make a car designed for pure speed comfortable enough for daily use? And more importantly, how do you keep that raw race-bred performance intact? The engineers at Jaguar pulled off a miracle. They took the D-Type and transformed it into the XKSS. This wasn't just a tamed race car, it was a whole new animal. With a 3.4-liter straight-six engine pumping out 250 horsepower, the XKSS could hit 60 miles per hour in under 5.5 seconds. But it wasn't just fast, it was beautiful, with sleek lines that made it look like it was moving even when standing still. The XKSS didn't just change Jaguar, it changed the entire sports car market. Suddenly, the idea of a road-going race car wasn't just a dream, it was a reality, and this cat was about to inspire a whole new breed of performance machines. Number 7. Ferrari 250 GT. Ferrari had a problem. They were winning races left and right, but their bank account was running on fumes. The solution? A street-legal supercar that would make jaws drop and wallets open. Here's how Enzo Ferrari's wild gamble paid off in ways no one could have predicted. By the mid-1950s, Ferrari's name was synonymous with racing success, but all that glory came at a price, and the company needed a steady cash flow to keep their racing dreams alive. Enter the Ferrari 250 GT, a car that would bridge the gap between the track and the street like never before. Creating a car that could dominate races on Sunday and cruise comfortably on Monday was no small feat. Ferrari's engineers had to balance raw power with everyday drivability, a challenge that pushed the limits of 1950s automotive technology. The result was nothing short of revolutionary. The 250 GT's racing pedigree was undeniable. Its 3.0-liter V12 engine roared with the same ferocity that had carried Ferrari to victory after victory. But this beast could be tamed for the road, with a more compliant suspension and a luxurious interior that would make any well-heeled buyer feel like a racing champion. Number 8. Lancia D24. What if I told you the most influential supercar of the 1950s wasn't a Ferrari, Maserati, or even a Jaguar? Let's uncover the hidden gem that changed the game but vanished almost overnight. In the shadows of Italy's automotive giants, a small company named Lancia dared to dream big. With a reputation for innovation, they set out to create a sports car that would leave the competition in the dust. But Lancia faced an uphill battle. How could they compete with the established names and their deep pockets? The answer came in the form of the Lancia D24. This car was a masterpiece of engineering, featuring a lightweight body and a powerful V6 engine that could unleash 265 horsepower. It wasn't just fast, it was a handling dream, with perfect weight distribution that made it dance through corners. Critics and drivers alike were blown away. The D24 dominated races, securing victories at the Mille Miglia and the Carrera Panamericana. For a brief moment, Lancia had the world's attention, but just as quickly as it rose to fame, the D24 disappeared from the spotlight. Number 9. Aston Martin DB4. What happens when you take the soul of a race car and wrap it in the body of a luxury cruiser? You get one of the most iconic cars of the 1950s. Aston Martin's quest for perfection led them to create a vehicle that would redefine what a Grand Tourer could be. Watch carefully, because this is where things get really interesting. Aston Martin was on a mission. They wanted to build a car that could dominate on the track and turn heads on the street. But here's the thing, making a car that's both fast and comfortable is like trying to mix oil and water. It just doesn't work. Or does it? The engineers at Aston Martin pulled out all the stops. They crafted a sleek aerodynamic body that looked like it was moving even when standing still. Under the hood, they packed a powerful engine that could push the car to speeds that would make your heart race. But they didn't stop there. Inside, they created a luxurious cockpit that made you feel like royalty. The result? The Aston Martin DB4. This car wasn't just a pretty face, it was a game changer. It proved that you could have your cake and eat it too. The DB4 set the standard for what a luxury sports car should be, and it put Aston Martin on the map as a serious player in the high-end car market. Number 10. BMW 507. You've heard of comeback stories, but this one's different. It's about a struggling car maker who decided to build a sports car so audacious, it could have spelled their doom. Instead, it became the foundation of a luxury empire. Here's how BMW's biggest risk became their greatest miles per hour. In the 1950s, BMW was in serious trouble. They were bleeding money and needed a miracle. Their solution? Jump into the luxury sports car market with both feet. It was a massive gamble that could have sunk the company for good. Enter the BMW 507. This wasn't just any sports car. It was a masterpiece of design and engineering. With its sleek lines and powerful V8 engine, the 507 turned heads wherever it went. It could hit 60 miles per hour in just 10 seconds, lightning fast for its time. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more content and hit that notification bell.